Today we're making a salad, but not any boring old salad. We're making a seared halloumi salad with a green tahini dressing. It is bright, it's nutritious, and it is so darn good. Hi there, I'm Nikki Sizemore. Welcome to my kitchen. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm gonna show you how to make this seared halloumi salad, which is honestly one of my favorite dinners once the weather starts to get warmer. If you're not familiar, halloumi is a semi-hard cheese with a really high melting point, so you can sear it or grill it. It's so good, it has got this salty flavor, and we are going to combine it with arugula and quinoa and pomegranate seeds and probably some other things that I'm forgetting about, and then tie everything together with this creamy dressing. So delicious. I can't wait to show you how it's done. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you make this salad, be sure to let me know. You can even tag me over on Instagram at FromScratchFast. Now, the first thing we're gonna do is make that green tahini dressing. So to a blender, we're going to add water. If you have a high-speed blender, this is a great time to use it. But if you don't worry. You can just use any regular blender that you have. We're also adding fresh lemon juice. And then some tahini. Oh, I love tahini so much. I love this brand. I'll link to below. Look at how silky it is. And then we have some medjool dates, or any dates that you can find. So these are gonna give the dressing this really delicious sweetness and that kind of caramely flavor that I love from dates. This is where the high-speed blender really comes in handy because it's gonna pulverize the dates really well. If you don't have a high-speed blender, just chop these up before you add them to the blender. You can even soak them in some hot water and that will help them dissolve or kind of incorporate better as well. Now for the green component, we have some fresh spinach and some fresh herbs. I'm using parsley and some salt and pepper. And you can make this, you can make this dressing a week ahead of time and put it on basically anything. It's also really delicious on fish, on shrimp. Pop the lid on and we'll blend this up. Once that's nice and blended, we're going to add some olive oil. I always like to add olive oil at the end if I'm blending a dressing because it gets bitter when it's blended. It's a little tip. Blend this again. You wanna give it a taste. The longer this dressing sits, the better it tastes, by the way. There's like so many things happening. You've got the brightness of the lemon, the sweetness, and then you've got that creamy nuttiness from the tahini. I love it. Set that aside. Let's slice up this yellow squash. We're going to sear off this squash to go into the salad. And now for the halloumi, I'm just gonna grab it from the fridge. So here's the halloumi. Now the only trick with the halloumi is you wanna pat it dry as well because we wanna get a nice sear in the skillet. We don't want it to steam. And if it's too wet, it's just gonna steam. I'm just going to cut it in half. If you cut it too thin, it gets a little harder to cook. And then we will pat these dry. I love halloumi, and it's such a great way to turn a salad into a vegetarian main course. Okay, I'm gonna take these back to the stovetop. We're gonna cook off the squash, cook off the halloumi, and then throw together the salad. I'm gonna preheat a nonstick skillet and add some olive oil to that so we can sear off this summer squash. We're gonna arrange these in the hot skillet in a single layer if your pan is big enough. Salt and pepper as always. And then I'm going to dust them with some just dried Italian seasoning. Let these cook until they're browned on the bottom. We'll flip them over and do the same thing on the other side. Once the squash is browned on both sides, just transfer it to a plate. Now for the halloumi, and it is important to use a non-stick skillet for the halloumi. So we're gonna coat that pan with some more oil and go ahead and add the halloumi. Not gonna take long, just a minute or two per side. Now if you have one, a fish spatula is really the best tool to use to flip these over because it's nice and thin. And then once it's browned on both sides, just transfer it to a cutting board. All right, let's go assemble the salad. All right, just about time to build the salad, but I'm just gonna slice up the halloumi so that when we toss it with the salad, it's a little bit easier to eat. If you haven't tried halloumi, you gotta give it a try. All right, so now for the fun part. Let me show you how to build this salad. This recipe makes 2 giant hearty salads, or like I said, 4 smaller ones. So I'm gonna start with some quinoa. You could use any other hearty grains you like. And then let's do some of the seared summer squash next. It has so much flavor. So I wrote a book called Build a Bowl, if you don't know. I love one bowl meals, and partly because you get all the different flavors and textures in one bite. From here, some arugula. Pile that right on top. You could use any greens you like. And then let's go for that warm caramelized halloumi on top. Some fresh mint. Ugh, my favorite. This smells like spring and summer. It grows like a weed in our garden. Now for some crunch, you can go for some toasted nuts, but you know what I like to do? I like to do some toasted maple pecans. I will link to this recipe below. Literally, it's just pecans, maple syrup, and salt, and you can add some cinnamon or chili flakes if you like. But this gives the salad that extra kind of like sweet, salty crunch. And I always have a jar of these at home. We snack on them, we eat them for desserts. My kids take them for school snacks. Gonna drizzle it with this dressing, and it's like luscious and thick. And then for one last pop of color and sweetness, some pomegranate seeds on top. There you have it, my very favorite salad. All right, let's give it a taste. There's really no elegant way to do this, so. This shouldn't even be called a salad. It's so much more than a salad. You've got that salty halloumi, the creamy, bright dressing, all of the texture from the arugula and the pomegranates and the nuts. Definitely one of my favorite warm weather meals. I hope that you guys give this seared halloumi salad a try. Please let me know if you do. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can find me on Instagram over at From Scratch Fast, and I'll see you next time.